This is the first part of the lecture for section 3.2, where we look at least squares regression. By the time we're done with this section, we should know all about how to create a regression line for analyzing the relationship of two quantitative variables. We should be able to find those regression lines, look at residuals, look at residual plots, and then interpret computer output. First things first, though, what is a regression line? Well, when we have two quantitative variables, we want to try to somehow find out if there's a relationship there. One kind of relationship that you could have is linear, and finding the regression line is finding the best line to fit the data if in fact the data is linear. Data are linear. So our definition, regression line is a line that describes how response variable y changes as the explanatory variable x changes, and we often use regression lines to try to predict the value of a y for a given value of x. Let's take a look at an example where we have a bunch of data. Everyone knows that trucks and cars lose their value after they're driven. Can we predict the price of a used Ford F-150 if we know how many miles it has on the odometer? Here's a random sample of 16 used F-150s that were selected amongst cars on or trucks on sale at a website. We got two variables, miles driven and price. We're going to think of miles as being the explanatory variable, and we think that price responds to the number of miles driven. So do trucks with more miles tend to lose their values? Well, how do we summarize the relationship between these two variables? Well, one, we start with finding doing a scatter plot of the data. And indeed, we see that it looks like uh, these two variables have a relationship. I think that that relationship looks pretty strong. I think that it is a negative relationship, meaning as one variable gets higher, the other one gets lower. And the form of that relationship does indeed look linear. All right. Now, it says, what do we do? Imagine that we draw a line that we think best goes through the data, the line of best fit, the regression line. And what can we do? Well, we can do predictions, like a truck that has 120,000 miles on it. If I start here and draw a line up to the curve, I can then take where it hits the curve and go over here. And it looks like, oh, I'm just going to make a guess here, that a truck that has about 120,000 miles, according to this data, is worth about, I'm going to go with about $19,000. And there is our use of a regression line. But what we haven't talked about is how is that regression line found? Is it simply that we eyeball the best line that goes through the data, or do we have a little bit more of a process? Well, let's get into some details about how we describe that regression line, and then we'll talk about in the second lecture how the regression line is found. So a regression line is a model for the data. And it's important here to hit the word model because model doesn't mean that's perfect. It just means that it's something that approximates, that seems to go well with these ideas. Um, the form of the regression line that we're going to use in this class is that it helps us find a predicted y value, and it does so using a linear equation. Now, at this point, you might want to use mx plus b, which is like what you learned in Algebra 1. But in statistics class, we use a different form. We say that the line is in the form of a times bx. Now, mx plus b or a plus bx, we're still thinking that this number that doesn't have an x on it is our y-intercept. And that this b value, the coefficient on the x term, is our slope. The y-intercept is the value that says what is the predicted value when x is 0, and the slope tells us about how much change is there in y as x increases by 1 unit. Let's let's do an example here. Let's say the regression line for the truck data is that the predicted price, okay, and again, for predicted price, not a true y value, but a predicted y value, we use a little hat above the variable. So we read this as predicted price can be found by using this model where 38,257 is the A value and the B value is this negative 0.1629, and our X variable in context is miles driven. All right, so let's take a look at this model and let's try to interpret the model, interpret the slope. Again, what we're saying is this is how Y changes as X increases by 1 unit. Or I could say for every increase in our X variable, in context, that's miles driven, of 1 mile, the predicted, and I'm going to underline that word because that's important, the predicted price goes, now because this is negative, it goes down by, now, did you think it goes down by exactly 16.29 cents each mile driven? It doesn't. So I'm going to put another word in there. It goes down approximately by 16.29 cents or $0.1629. And that's our interpretation of the slope. I'm looking for, in the answers in class, a reference to the X variable getting bigger by 1, that it's an effect on the predicted price, not the price itself. And this is only approximately how much change there is. Okay. We like to say in statistics, this is non-deterministic. It doesn't go down exactly by that 16 cents. What about the y-intercept? How do we interpret that? And that's a truck with 0 miles. Our x value is 0. 0 miles driven has a predicted price. And again, underline predicted, because it's not, not all trucks are going to be exactly the same, but the predicted price is coming out of this model of, and in this case, that number is $38,257. All right. So let's do some predictions. Let's say we'd like to use this model, um, this regression equation that's given to us to predict the price of a F-150 truck with 100,000 miles on it. All right. So we could go start at 100,000 miles, go up to the curve and over, and we land about there. But if we have this prediction model, we could also say, well, our predicted price is 38,257 minus 0.1629 times, and this is where we would put in the 100,000. And if I go to Desmos, I can put that in. I'll go ahead and I will type in 38. Let me increase the magnification for just a second, make it a little easier to read. 38,257 minus 0.1629 times 100,000. And we can see that the predicted price is about $22,000, 21,967, 21,967. So we believe that, at least the model suggests, that's how much that truck would be worth. All right. At least that's what the predicted price is. What if we try to do the same thing uh, and find the predicted price for a truck with 300,000 miles on it? Well, we got the same equation, except this time we're going to multiply by 300,000. All right. Let's go back over to Desmos. I'm just going to go up here and edit that 100,000, change it to 300,000. And it says it's worth negative $10,613. I'll write that down. Negative 10,613. Well, wait, I can understand a truck being worth positive 21,000, but how can a truck be worth negative $10,000? That'd be like, here I'm selling this truck and I have to pay you $10,000 to take it away. And that doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any sense because we did something called extrapolation. Now, when we have a model, like in this model, the number of miles driven runs from 0 to 160,000. We think that the model is probably reasonable for miles driven values that are in that range. But $300,000 or 300,000 miles, that's nowhere near that range. So when you use a regression line for prediction far outside the values of the explanatory, you're doing extrapolation, and it says right here, such predictions are often not accurate, just like we saw in this previous example. The takeaway here, don't make predictions of X for values that are much smaller or much larger than the actual data on which the model was created. On to the next page. We know that, by the way, when we use this model, we're not getting exact values. The regression line that we had, it it runs through, looks like one of the, or two of the, no, just one of the data points. So this model isn't perfect. Let's talk a little bit about how we talk about how it's wrong and the error in the prediction model. Okay, so we would say that this error is called the residual, and it's the difference between the observed data and the value predicted by the model. Yep, the residual is the difference between the observed data, a real data value, and the predicted value. Okay, in symbols, the residual is y, a real data value, minus y hat, a predicted data value. Okay, let's see this in action, going back to the backpack data that uh, we started with in the previous section. So let's say with that backpack data, we think the regression line is y hat equals 16.3 plus 0.0809 times x. Or in context, the predicted backpack weight is equal to 16.3 plus 0.0908 times body weight. That's how I add context to that answer. And it says, hey, let's find and interpret the residual for a hiker that weighed 187 pounds. Well, we know that the predicted backpack weight is equal to, according to the model, 16.3 plus 0.0908 times the body weight of 187. let's go over to the calculator, see what that is. So I'm going to go down to the next line. And again, one more time, 16.3 plus 0.0908 times 187. And we get 33.2796. 33.2796. And that unit will be in pounds, backpack pounds. All right. But if we want to calculate the residual, how far we are off, the residual is the real weight of the backpack for that 187-pound hiker, which is 30, minus the predicted backpack weight, which is 33.2796, and that ends up being negative 3.2796, and that's also in pounds, backpack pounds. Right? So we found the residual, right? And by the way, that backpacker is that one right there. The negative residual means that the data value was found below that residual, that regression line. And our interpretation of this is that the backpack carried by the hiker weighing 187 pounds is 3.276 pounds lighter than predicted. And that's our interpretation. So, and that's where we stop for part one of this lesson.